Hello, we're back. It's Minisode, and this week we're going to be talking about bag storage systems. Is that what we're calling it? Is there a proper name for this?
Probably. Basically, things to store your loose articles in. And if you don't know what a loose article is, it's a phone, wallet, keys, a bag, generally
Stuff.
Things you can't take on a roller coaster, pretty much.
Which is pretty much everything.
Yeah. Anything that if you had, on your lap, it would fly out.
Yeah, but that would be everything. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's basically a bag.
Yeah.
Before we start this one, though, even though it's a mini-sode, Harry would like to share some news because apparently something mahoosive has happened.
This hot
literally
off the press,
just now.
Fresh news. Super fresh. So some of you may know of the London Resort. If you don't know what the London Resort is, a little while ago, some people are like, "Oh yeah, let's make a big theme park in London called Paramount London, right? And it'd be really cool. It'd be like Disney, but not Disney, right?" So that didn't happen. Paramount pulled out and like, "Nah, we're not. Your park's not going anywhere. We don't want to deal with this." Then, see, originally it was planned to open in 2019. Obviously, it's 2019 now, and nothing's happened. A few years later, Paramount pulls out. A few more years later, some other news studios people join. BBC join, and ITV.
BBC joined?
Yeah, and ITV. So things were looking likely, yet no real progress had been made still. So, and as of today, Paramount is back in for some reason. Don't know why.
What do we actually know? Just that they've agreed to do it again?
The studio joins BBC Studios and ITV Studios, contributing from among their outstanding range of intellectual property. That's what it's all about. It's IPs. So it gives.
So they're agreeing to give the IPs again.
Yes.
So BBC and that are still funding.
Well, no, they're doing the same. Those studios are giving their IPs, so you could see a Doctor Who ride or a Mission Impossible ride instead.
So who's funding it then?
I don't know, external people.
Okay. But without the IPs, you couldn't really get it off the ground.
Without the IPs, you wouldn't have as much of a draw, So the IPs are there to try and draw people in and make it something the scale of, Universal Studios and Disney. But yeah, no, nothing's really happened for ages. It's still looking very unlikely anything will happen. Apparently, planning permission's going to be put in end of this year, start of next year. So if that happens, maybe it's going to go somewhere. But for now, this is just one step along the mess that is London Resort. Anyway, back to our scheduled programming.
Yeah, so bags. Where do you put them, Harry? Where do you put them?
You got several different options for putting bags in places. The classic is arguably putting your bags in the station, whether it be literally on the side of the station platform or in a little kind of like bag rack.
Yeah.
Or bin. Bins is what they're often referred to as. So
that makes no sense to me.
Well, yeah. So you put your bags in the bins on the station platform, but obviously this means that you have to go through the train to put your bag in. And then when you get off the train, you have to collect your bag.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is often the people getting off collecting their bags clash with the people getting on putting their bags in.
Exactly.
And it slows everything down. But that is the universal thing. The universal bagging system for roller coasters is bins on the station platform. But since that, we've evolved. Different companies, different theme parks have all come up with different ideas of how to change it and make it faster, speedier, improve things, more security, whatever. One of the most notorious is the locker system, but the locker system can be broken down into different subsystems also, right?
Yeah, do you mean like actual lockers?
I mean actual lockers.
Okay.
So you put your bag in a locker at some point before you get on the ride and then collect it again afterwards. Okay?
But how?
We did it on Valkyria, no?
Okay, so the lockers are like completely not in the queue line at all.
Well, these are the subsections, right? So you can have lockers that are completely outside of the queue.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to put your bag in before you enter the queue, and you pick up your bag after you've got off, right? And some theme parks make you pay for those lockers. If you live in
Yeah.
America, you get fined basically for doing that every single day. If you go to like Six Flags to Cedar Fair, I
Well,
don't know how they get
also,
away with that. It's
in
daylight robbery, but
Gardaland, we had to pay for. We didn't pay. We just left it on the side. What was that
yes,
water ride?
yes. I can't remember, but
Something.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, this is true. So sometimes you get that lockers right before the ride. Other systems have lockers in the queue. So one of them, an example of this, Arthur at Europa Park.
Mm-hmm.
When you're about 2/3 of the way through the queue, there's a wall of lockers, and you put your bag in a locker, and then it's only like 10 minutes until you get on the ride at that point.
Right.
So,
And you can access it from the other side when you go out.
and when you get off, as you're walking out the exit, you come to the other side, and get your stuff. So lockers can be very helpful for trying to improve throughputs because you don't have to deal with bags on the station platform, right?
And also they're secure.
Yes. But you also get the problem is if they're done badly, they can be very slow as well.
Yeah. I
Just-
know what you're going to talk about.
Exactly. So on Valkyria, there's 2 walls of lockers, like make a corridor, but the space in between the corridor is only enough to really open one side, like one door,
Mm-hmm.
one door and one person. So if someone's opening a locker or putting stuff in the locker, you can't get past. So as you can imagine, it's a very slow system when people are trying to get off. So you kind of want to either rush out when you get off to collect your bags first, or you want to just wait and let
But even
everyone
if you
else-
rush off and get there first, there's still loads of people there trying to put their bags in.
Exactly.
So it's always busy and you can never get into the machine to scan your
Yeah.
thing.
So that's a bad way. Having just an open wall of lockers in a room is much better because there's loads of space, right?
Yeah.
So with a locker system, you need space to do it well.
Yeah.
And
But also that's really annoying because then you don't have any of your belongings for the whole queue line.
yes, exactly. It is dumb.
Yeah.
And then
we wanted to buy, well, we didn't want to buy, but we couldn't have bought any snacks at the little snack stand.
Yeah,
So they're losing money.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Because we didn't have our wallets to buy stuff in the queue.
Yeah. So
Although
yeah, I know what you're gonna say. They had the little things on in the station, which was stupid.
So on Valkyria, when you get to literally just before you board the thing, they have little trays that you're meant to put all your phones and wallets in, and then they where did they put the trays? They swap
just on
them
the
out
other
and
side,
stuff.
yeah, and they just carry them to the other side, which is dumb because it also slows things down. So it's
Yeah.
why didn't you just put everything in there and call it
Yeah.
a day?
It's very weird.
It is.
I can see that they tried to make it quick, but it literally just made it so much slower.
Yeah. Most people really dislike the idea of lockers because when you think of lockers, most people think of paid lockers, and obviously no one wants to fork out money to go on a ride when you've
Yeah.
already paid to get in.
Yeah.
So lockers aren't a very well-liked
Popular.
system. No. A system that you'll find quite heavily in the UK, at least, and in some other countries as well, is the baggage hold.
Mm-hmm.
And this basically is a little room that there's a member of staff in, and you hand your bag to the member of staff. They put it in a little
Hole.
yeah, a bin basically,
A
in the
numbered
room,
hole.
and you get a number. And then when you get off, you give your number to the staff member, and they give you your bag.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this means, and this often happens just before you get on.
Yeah.
So you have only a few minutes without your personal belongings, which is good. And it takes all the items off the right platform so that you can maximum capacity kind of thing, right?
And it's more secure, I guess.
And it's more secure. Arguably not as secure as lockers, but more secure than bins.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, these aren't without their own downsides. When you get off, you kind of have to rush to try and be the first person off the train so that you can collect your belongings first, because otherwise you have to wait. You only have to wait a few minutes. But
it's annoying though because there's never a proper queue. Everyone just kind of swarms around it.
yeah, so those are an improved system but still not without their flaws. There's still issues with that. But I'm quite a big fan of that system.
Yeah, I think that's one of my top ones.
Yeah, and
Especially
it's easy.
when you know to rush to get
Yeah.
off, like because we can get out of our seats quickly and just run over.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really many problems with it when we do it.
No, this is true. And then one of the final systems is bins on the station platform with flaps. And basically, this is a bin. So imagine you have 3 trains on a ride. There'll be 3 like long slots in the wall, each with their own flap. And essentially, say that the top bin is for train 1, the middle bin is for train 2, and the third bin, the bottom one, is for train 3. If you're on train 1, bin 1 will be open. You put your stuff into bin 1, the train leaves the station, bin 1 closes, and bin 2 opens as train 2 comes in.
Yeah.
And then when you enter the station, your bin opens. So you can only access the items on your train. So no one else putting the items down or picking them up can access what you put in your bin.
Yeah.
So it's more secure than your standard bins in the station, but not as secure as a baggage holder or locker system.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's probably the quickest overall method.
It depends how it's implemented. As you can imagine, if there's only one flap, it's the same problem. If it's only accessible from one side, it's the same problem as your normal bins in the station, where people getting on and people getting off clashing to put their bags or pick up their bags, right?
But I think it's still a bit quicker because it tends to be one long, thin strip.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is, yeah.
Essentially, especially if it's only a 2-seater train, you just put your stuff immediately next to where you are.
Yeah.
Whereas other ones like Nemesis or like a mine train or something, they tend to have like ones that are really small and it doesn't go across the whole train. So you have to like walk to the same place as everybody else, and everyone gets in a crowd to put their stuff in the bin.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas with the long flap ones, you have your own kind of slot to just walk and like put it in.
Yeah.
And then go back to the train.
This is true. But there are other iterations of the flaps. So as you can imagine, you can try and build your ride in a way that makes bins really easy. And an example of this is on Carnan, right, where you put your bags in the bins, in these flappable bins, moments before you get on. But so you go into the ride station with no bags, which is perfect.
Yeah.
You get off on the offload platform, and right there is the flap. So then you're never fighting anyone because you're either getting on or you're getting off. There's no,
right.
They're separate places.
So is it kind of like Rita, where as you walk into the loading bay, you put your bag in the bin?
Yeah.
And then when you get off, you're on the other side of the bin, so you just grab as you walk out? Essentially,
yeah. But you still put your bag away before you even get into the station.
Right.
But only because when you get into the station on that ride, you go straight on. There's no waiting or anything. But similar systems have been used in other rides, like Blue Fire has a similar system where you put your bags on one side and you collect them from the other side.
Okay.
I know Pulsar has a similar system. So the one side, other side is kind of like an improved variation of this bin flap thing, right?
Yeah. But that would involve designing the whole station and the ride so that you could do that.
Yeah, essentially.
Because the paths would have to go in a certain way.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit more, it requires some planning, but ultimately that is the best system, I think anyway.
Yeah.
Is when you have no bags on the station, but you collect your bags from the station. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, and the flaps.
And the flaps, yeah, of course. Because then no one's holding you up. You've got a long, thin strip to put everything in, and everyone just goes to their section.
Yeah.
And you've got your time to put your bags in. You're not rushing to put your bag away. So there is one other system, which I haven't seen in the flesh, and that's movable lockers, right?
Okay.
Like movable bins, essentially, where before you get on, you put your bags in this bin, and then as you go around the ride, this bin moves to the
What,
offload.
on its own?
Yeah.
How? Is it on a little track?
Yeah, it's basically on like a suspended thing.
Huh.
And it moves to the offload, and then you get it from the offload.
Okay.
So
That's cool.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
But more expensive, I guess.
Yeah, and I can imagine it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So
I thought you were going to say a member of staff like just moves the bin
well, that would work as well, wouldn't it?
if it's not too heavy.
Yeah. Oh, another one is having bins on the actual train.
Oh no.
Some of them
Wait,
have
like
that.
on RC Racer?
Yeah, like on RC Racer,
That was weird.
where there's literally a little pouch on the train.
But that took a long time because a lot of people didn't really know what they were doing with
Yeah,
it.
it's cumbersome.
Yeah.
Pouches on the train are cumbersome. So yeah, those are the real options you've got. What did people say?
So we did a poll first of all. Which type of theme park bag storage system do you think is the most effective?
Yep.
Did you see this?
I did.
Did you see the result?
I did.
So 1 bin per train, which is the flaps, was 46%, so that won.
Not surprised.
It was not quite close. They all had a good amount of votes.
Yeah.
Baggage hold was the second at 26%. Bins in the station was 19%, and locker systems 9%.
Mm.
So some people do like lockers, I guess, just because they're secure.
Yeah. But I think this is really a cultural difference as well. Like in Europe, you don't associate lockers with having to pay for them.
Yeah.
Whereas in America, you do. And in America, there aren't many baggage hold systems.
Yeah.
Whereas in Europe,
Depends
there is.
what you're used to, I guess.
Exactly. It depends what you're used to. Everyone has a different set of circumstances.
Joe says baggage holds are the way, otherwise free lockers. Icon system or Yukon, is that how you say it? Yukon Striker?
Yeah.
Yukon Striker's system looks pretty neat.
That's the one with the moving.
Okay. The movable lockers.
Yeah, essentially.
Greg says ones like Icon and Silver Stars are my favourite, where each compartment is locked to its own train.
Yeah. So the flaps.
Seems like, yeah, the flaps are quite popular. Dom says flaps are good, but you still spend 20 seconds or so going over to them and putting your stuff in. Provided there are blocks free on the layout, that is just wasted time that harms the overall throughput. Everyone gets straight into their seats with a baggage hold. This is true.
Yeah. This is it. The perfect scenario is always going into the station with nothing. That will always be the best situation to do. So if you can design a ride where that happens, where you have your baggage hold before, then it's perfect.
Operator says baggage bins with flaps like Taron and Lost Gravity is a good idea, but I also like the baggage hold system for Baron 1898. You can enter the building without any extra baggage, and you can board the train without anyone in your way, especially with the immersion of the pre-shows.
Yeah, so that's the same baggage hold we've got in the UK with the Merlin parks.
Couple of more people saying they like the flaps.
Yeah, I think most people are familiar and like the familiarity of the bins in the station.
Yeah.
But then the flaps are just kind of a level up on that.
Yeah, they just add a little bit more security. Lush Revel Coaster says, I quite like the ones on RC Racer, little storage bins, or Wickermans with the staffed area. There's no delay getting people off the ride and out of the station, so it speeds up the loading.
Yeah.
We didn't like the RC Racer ones though, did we?
No.
It depends if everybody in the car knows what they're doing or not, I guess.
This is very true.
Owen says locked compartment storage bins or staffed bag drop areas are what all parks should use. For smaller rides, a bag on ride policy might speed up operations.
This is true, actually. You know,
we don't really get that in the UK though, do we?
Of course we don't.
No.
But yeah, stuff like the Disney parks where you just take your bags on.
Yeah.
I do actually like that in some cases.
On some rides though, I just worry about the bag the whole time we're on.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's not really the rides that have at Disney, they're never going to throw your bag out.
No. But it still worries me. I'd rather just leave it on the side.
Yeah. Yeah. Depends on the scale of the ride, really.
Yeah. And then finally, Tommy says, my pocket's still, but I plan the correct attire.
Yeah, having zipped pockets.
Yeah.
People like that, but some parks now just don't even let you have stuff in zipped pockets, you know?
Yeah.
They're
and
very
also,
strict.
if you've got a lot of stuff like water and
Camera
coats
and
and
stuff,
yeah. But I mean, if you can do it with no bag, that's optimum.
Yeah.
So it seems like flaps are the winner.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? People like the flaps. As I said, it's the familiarity of bins on the station platform, but just the next one up,
Yeah.
which is
And
understandable.
also, they're cool to watch, not going to lie.
They are cool to watch. It's just a cool system generally, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, can't argue with that.
Nah.